Hello again, this is Katt coming to you semi-live from my second Katt chat. And my first movie review too. This is gonna be interesting. For the record, these videos and my gaming videos on YouTube are pretty much a hobby. So they won't be too often, but I will still do my best to improve on each one. Now, about the Boxtrolls. I missed out on this in the cinema, because I don't know, but I managed to pick it up on DVD and give it a watch. How was it? Well, we'll get to that. Just so you know, I have a new scoring system. It's going to be out of 13. Why 13? No reason. 1 to 4, it's a bad movie. Or a bad piece of media, because I'm going to use this for everything. 5 to 7, it's okay. 8 to 10 is good. Also, if this film has no outstanding flaws, but many outstanding positives, I'm able to watch it without skipping awkward scenes or scenes that I perceive as awkward, then it's pretty much straight up for a 13. Enough of the rambling! Let's get to the Boxtrolls. It starts with the Boxtrolls supposedly stealing a baby. A man named Archibald Snatcher, really, that's his name, gives the news to the leader of the town, Lord Portly Rhines. However, he doesn't seem to care until Snatcher mentions that they might be after their cheeses.
That's it, cheese.
Okay then. Lord Rhines says he'll give him anything to get rid of the Boxtrolls, and Snatcher wants a white hat, securing him in Parliament. Rhines, however, says he won't, but after some prodding, he agrees, as long as the Boxtrolls are all dead with proof. Snatcher says he's up to the task, and then it's 1 year later. There's a curfew now, and Snatcher is telling the people to stay inside. After he passes by and everyone is inside, the Boxtrolls come out of their hiding places. We see that they are far from vicious and are actually quite curious. They also dig through trash and the like to find what they think is interesting. Even house numbers and cartwheels. We actually meet one, named Fish, who finds an alarm clock. He fixes it and seems to like it, until another troll, named Shoe, takes it and hugs it. Then Fish finds a teddy bear with a wind-up music box. He gets to keep this one. But then Snatcher and his band of exterminators come near. The Boxtrolls hide as the exterminators begin to play prop hunt. This is Mr. Trout, Mr. Gristle, and Mr. Pickles. No, not Mr. Pickles! Not Mr. Pickles! Oh, this is a different Mr. Pickles. Okay, good. I do like the dynamic of Mr. Trout and Mr. Pickles. This is actually the first time I've seen henchmen want to do the right thing, and they constantly debate whether they are or not throughout the movie, and it never gets old, at least for me. And Mr. Gristle.
Foot.
Am I the only one who likes him? I know we've seen the crazy one done before, but it never seems to become boring or unbearable. This guy always gets a laugh out of me. I especially like his attitude and vocal pattern. When Shoe and Fish try to sneak away,
Foot. Mr. Gristle, acquire them. Acquire.
Mr. Gristle pursues them. They manage to escape, and we see their world, which definitely looks interesting. Then Fish begins to look for eggs. We see more of their world as we search with Fish to find eggs. Now, I've heard complaints about the Boxtrolls being too similar to the minions from Despicable Me. I kind of see it, but the trolls have unique personalities and appearances, and to be honest, I like them more, at least from a charm standpoint and a story standpoint. When it comes to comedy, the minions from Despicable Me win it hands down, but we're not talking about that movie here. We also see that they love to build. I like the jokes in this scene, as it does show how they function as their own society. Fish soon finds eggs, with the help of oil, and eggs turns out to be a human toddler. Now, for the record, I find this next scene utterly adorable. and the scene that follows is just as good, if not better. It's my favourite scene in the whole movie, because it shows how Wade grows up, and how close he and Fish are, and how close Eggs is to the rest of the Boxtrolls. It's really charming. During this little montage, we see when he turns 12, they let him go up to scavenger hunt with them. It also shows us that over the years, the Boxtroll population has been declining, thanks to Snatcher. It's heartbreaking to see them go like this, but that's how we're supposed to feel. We cut to Eggs, Fish and Shoe on another scavenger hunt, which ends up alerting a girl to their presence. Her name is Winnie. And I'll say this right now, she is the second best character in the movie, despite well, we'll see. She decides to tell her father, but he's a little preoccupied with...
First on the docket, more complaints of crumbling bridges.
Speaking of crumbling, is that a new blue cheese, is it? Complex.
I'm tasting notes of plum. Been sitting here for months, all in favour of cutting open the Roquefort next. Aye! Well, okay.
Yeah. He mentions a holiday they have tomorrow to remember the Trumpshaw baby, and that there is a performance by a Madame Frou Frou.
Now there's a woman with
Some cheese on her bones.
That is the second strangest analogy I've ever heard, the first being the ones in the Song of Solomon.
A lady like that is like a fine brie. Raw. Dangerous.
maybe a little stinky, but one taste and you'll be begging for
Father.
Okay then, you've clearly got some sick fetish. Even more so than Winnie. Speaking of which, she finally catches his attention, but he tells her to stop obsessing over them.
I just can't stop imagining them gnawing off my toes and stringing them together as a necklace.
Okay. Instead he sends her back to bed, but not before asking her to wash his hat, which got some cheese on it, whatever. Out of a quick burst of frustration, she throws it out the window, but after realizing her mistake, cautiously attempts to retrieve it. She then sees eggs, and is astounded that a boy is with the Boxtrolls. Then he and the others get chased away by the exterminators. Then Winnie finds Mr. Snatcher admiring the hat, and she tells him about the boy. He says all he saw were monsters and, with reluctance from Winnie, takes her back inside to see her father.
The wind blew it right out the window. Very windy tonight.
Must have died down. Suddenly.
One of the creepiest faces in the whole movie. That's right, I said one of the creepiest. We'll get to those soon. Her father comes out and cares more about the hat than his own daughter. He gets it back and says that you can't get one by picking it up off the street. You have to earn it. After that, Snatcher snitches on Winnie and he's off. Then we have another chase sequence. Which ends with Fish getting captured, leaving Eggs saddened. You know, sometimes all you need is emotion, or just facial expression. Some of the most touching and saddest scenes don't need any dialogue. It's a very moving scene. She tries to get Eggs out of his depression, but to no avail. Then we have this line.
Why do we do this, Shu? Carry on like everything is normal. They drag us away and we do nothing.
After what's left of the Boxtrolls has gone back to bed, he decides to disguise himself and go up to find Fish. On the surface, he gets pushed around a little, and we get introduced to the most unconvincing drag queen I have ever seen. I'm not kidding either. That's Snatcher if you couldn't tell. Minions and all. Then he starts to sing.
10 years ago, a plot was hatched where evil was with cunning matched. Rapture Senior loved his kid, the same as regular fathers did. The Boxtrolls came in to withdraw. Boxtrolls, lock your windows, bolt your doors. Help, help, help me, please, won't you? But the Boxtrolls did what Boxtrolls do. That's the story of a Rapture kid. Wrong to what father Rapture did.
It's not that bad actually. Aside from not hearing some of the lyrics due to the accent, it's actually kinda decent. After the song, X sees Winnie and follows her. She spooks him and he hides in a barrel. After some banter,
How'd you escape?
We went underground.
Did they drag you down to the hideous cave? Huh? Where there are mountains of baby bones and rivers of blood?
What?
Did they eat your family?
My
Did
family?
they let you watch?
this girl has some serious issues, We get a nice turn on a classic joke. Then X goes to find Fish. We find Fish quivering in a cage and being taunted. Snatcher has a short speech about how only humans are able to choose ambitions and then tells his 3 stooges to fetch the cheese, which seems to concern them, except for Mr. Gristle because he's the crazy one. We see Eggs come across their hideout as they don their paper hats. After a couple of funny gags, he eats some of the cheese and
Someone's got the cheese fix again.
Quickly, quietly get the leeches.
Quietly.
Where's you going?
Quietly.
Is you getting more cheese?
Quietly.
What?
Egg sneaks in as Snatcher gets more and more swollen and more delirious. Eggs frees Fish as Snatcher begins attacking Mr. Pickles, thinking that he's Lord Rhines, and then gets the leeches. Mr. Trout reminds him about the Boxtroll and knows that he's missing. The workshop opens and it's revealed that the Boxtrolls captured over the years are still alive, along with some guy hanging upside down. Eggs gives his and Fish's position away, and cue action scene. It's kind of intense too.
I'm playing on a cage!
Shoot, Mr. Pickles, shoot! It'd be easier if he stopped moving.
Eggs is about to get cricket batted and shot when Winnie comes in, overhearing that Eggs is the Trumpshaw baby. Snatcher is about to do her in when Eggs swings in to save her, and Fish helps them escape. They end up in the troll's cave, and Winnie complains about there not being rivers of blood or mountains of bones. Eggs tells her he said that they don't eat people. Then Winnie tells him that he's not a box troll, but a human. Eggs doesn't believe her at first, but then asks Fish, who tells him of a nice man who was an inventor, and that he gave eggs to Fish to keep him safe from Snatcher before the nice man was presumed to be killed. Then, filled with sadness again, Eggs goes off to be by himself. Winnie sits with him, and we get a nice touching moment. During this, she describes what a father is, which gives Eggs the idea to tell her father the truth so that he can stop Snatcher. She agrees after a bit of prompting, but
First things first. Off with the box. Stop that!
she manages to make him look like a proper boy, and they go to her father's cheese party. This scene is a little awkward for me, not at the very beginning and certainly not at the end, but during this time it gets just a little awkward for me, and I do tend to skip this scene sometimes. I can see how some people find it funny, and if you are squeamish or have a weak stomach, you probably won't like this scene. But for me, I just find it awkward. Then when his father, Lord Rhines, reveals a giant cheese wheel, gets captured by Snatcher de Frou-Frou. He's about to kill him, but he gets stopped by a dance. The dancing becomes an obstacle to get to Winnie's father. Egg tries to get through, but it's no good. Winnie comes back and says they need to dance through. It seems to work. However, they get separated and shenanigans ensue. It ends with the giant cheese wheel rolling into the river. They blame Eggs for the mess, even though it was clearly established that it was Snatcher's fault, or Frou-Frou's fault. The scene just makes me want to hit the so-called Lord for being an incompetent leader, or a competent guy in general. Whatever, the ending makes up for it. At least it's a great touching moment. Upset, Eggs tells the Boxtrolls that they have to leave, but it's too late. Snatcher drills in through the ceiling and wrecks the place. Then he captures all the Boxtrolls. Even Fish's last effort to protect Eggs doesn't work, as they are both knocked out. You know, it's moments like that which makes me like a character, and Fish is no exception. Remember when I said that Winnie was second best? To me, Fish is first. And for the record, Snatcher is third. Eggs wakes up in a cage by the sounds of near insanity.
Jelly.
And Jelly. It's the guy from earlier. They have a little bit of a banter, and Snatcher walks in and reveals that the man is Egg's father. He says that a decade hanging upside down has left him insane and shows Eggs what he's built. We also see the Boxtrolls getting stacked under a crusher, trembling in fear. Eggs tells the Boxtrolls to run, but they won't, with Snatcher saying that they can't change their nature. Then Eggs' father says this.
I see it now. A mutation of nature. Self-imposed metamorphosis. Box boy! You did it!
I don't understand.
You changed your nature. Tell them, my son.
Father?
Son! They can change. They can do it. Tell them.
After a bit and some thought, Eggs tells the Boxtrolls to stop hiding and fight back.
Stand up for yourselves. We can fight back.
Unfortunately, they don't seem to listen, and they seemingly get crushed. Damn. Back in town, Snatcher says that the curfew is over and that the Boxtrolls are all gone, while riding the brass spoiler from Conker's Bad Fur Day. The townsfolk follow him to Lord Ryan's house, where Snatcher shows him that all the Boxtrolls are dead. Maybe. That is all but one. Eggs in a costume. Okay, how did the townsfolk not notice? I mean, it's clearly the head and feet of the costume that was shown earlier during the musical sequence, which everyone there was seeing. Surely at least the majority of that crowd would be in this crowd, and sure they would remember seeing that costume. Snatcher gets the crowd on his side to get Lord Rhines to give him his white hat, but not just any white hat. He wants Rhines' white hat. After some debate, he agrees and says he'll have his hat as soon as that last Boxtroll is dead. Snatcher preps his machine and begins lowering Eggs into the fire.
I, Archibald Penelope Snatcher.
Penelope? Oh my gosh, really? Really? Oh, brother.
Stop!
I can't miss. Apologies.
We're just doing our jobs.
Stop! Are you pest exterminators or evil henchmen?
I knew that's how people saw us.
Don't have to do this.
He has a point, Mr. Pickles. This could be our chance for redemption, yeah? Yeah.
After they stop lowering him, Mr. Gristle grabs the remote and starts lowering him again. No, it doesn't make me hate him. Remember, he was the crazy one in the first place. And he gets his comeuppance in the end. Just when all seems lost, the Boxtrolls come to save the day, alongside Eggs' father. Okay then. They get the remote off Mr. Gristle and save Eggs. He wonders how they're okay, and Fish reveals that they did listen and escape just in time, leaving their boxes. The townsfolk see them and are puzzled that a boy is friends with Boxtrolls, but Winnie tells them the truth and that Eggs is the Tromshaw baby. They discover that Snatcher had lied to them, and Lord Rhines discovers that Frou-Frou and Snatcher were one and the same.
Why is he talking like Madame Frou? Oh my god. I regret so much.
What the? No. Then we hit our climax. Snatcher uses his machine to try and get his white hat, causing destruction. Then the Boxtrolls retaliate against him, attempting to take the machine apart. Then Snatcher starts spinning, demonstrating angular momentum. Then Winnie gets an idea. She takes her father's hat and causes a distraction with the help of Mr. Trout and Mr. Pickles, and Eggs' father. Oh, and Mr. Gristle too. While distracted, Snatcher doesn't realize until too late that Eggs and two of the Boxtrolls removed his grabber, and he tries to hit Eggs, which ends up in the Boxtrolls grabbing the suction pipe and dunking it into the sewer water. Then Eggs hits the button and the machine is disabled, and the other white hats have saved the giant cheese! Yay! Then the machine falls on top of Mr. Gristle, and Snatcher and Eggs land in the cheese wheel. Eggs is okay, but since Snatcher is allergic to cheese, he turns into a monster. He grabs Winnie and says he'll let her go in exchange for her father's hat. He agrees after some prodding, and then...
To the tasting room!
This can't be good. Once there, he taunts his hat, and so do Winnie's father, Eggs and Fish. Snatcher wants his cheese. Then Winnie bites Snatcher and runs back to her father. It's a clever callback. Then Snatcher tries to taste the cheese. And then he explodes. That's dark and disgusting. It ends with Winnie telling the story, a nice callback to the beginning of the movie, and everything is a-okay. Also, Mr. Trout and Mr. Pickles are telling us it's a happy end, but are unsure of what to do next though. We get some nicely animated credits, and then this happens.
You ever think about the universe, Mr. Trout? What if our world is just like a tiny speck?
A tiny little speck.
And there are giants looking down on us.
And every time we move...
It's actually them moving us.
Seems a bit tedious.
Like that. Just there. Me blinking. That would have taken them a day.
Me moving my arm. 500 men.
I mean, none of them are going home. They're having to do this bit. And now this bit. And this bit. I mean, this should stop.
Wow, that is meta. It's definitely a nice little Easter egg. And that's the Boxtrolls. It's definitely one of the better movies I've seen. Almost every single scene makes me want to watch the rest of it. Now, there are some complaints, like X pretty much has no character. Not true, he has a little bit of character. I do think he's a nice character all the same. The Boxtrolls are unique in each way, and almost every single gag with them makes me laugh. And not to mention that they are incredibly charming. I will say though that Winnie's father can be a little bit of a jerk, but his character development near the end, and also if they do make a sequel to this or another movie like this, then I wouldn't mind seeing it. Also, this was apparently done by Laika, who previously did Coraline and Paranorman. I haven't seen Paranorman, but I have definitely seen Coraline. And to be honest, I think the Boxtrolls is better than Coraline. Coraline having a close second, considering that I haven't watched Paranorman. I may do in the future though. But anyway, my final verdict, this was a great movie. See you next time!